Hello, welcome to Antcast by Ant Group. It's a podcast that brings you deep into conversations with global thinkers, innovators, and entrepreneurs on groundbreaking technology and how they're shaping our lives for better or for worse. I'm your host, R.T. Warfield, coming to you from London. Green finance aims to promote the acceleration of the energy transition away from fossil fuels to help in the fight against global warming. This involves financing projects and businesses that have positive impacts on the environment and work for a sustainable economy. For the investor, it is a question of combining civic responsibility with returns for the individual and the economy. Surveys have shown that younger investors today are more and more concerned about whether the companies they invest in are aligned with their values. Simply being focused on returns is not enough for them. But what is green finance? And is it something one should be looking at when considering where to invest one's capital? To discuss further about the topic of green finance, we have the great pleasure of being joined by Xavier Gomez. Xavier is the founder and chief operating officer of Invio, which is a data analytics consultancy based out of Paris, specializing in technology solutions and data processing and management. He's also the managing director and deputy editor-in-chief of Invio Insights, which is a global provider of fintech news and analysis. Prior to founding Invio, Xavier worked at a variety of positions in investment banking, including 16 years at Credit Suisse. Welcome to the show, Xavier.
Hi, RT.
So Xavier, today we're talking about green finance, and I talked to a lot of my friends about this, and a lot of them seem confused. It seems a lot of people have different definitions of what is green finance. So tell us, what is green finance?
Oh, it's a big word since many years. I spent a lot of time as a banker 10 years ago on this subject. It's funny because today is kind of buzzword, as you know, as every trend and mode. Green finance is a concept that defines action and financial operation that promote energy transition and the fight against global warming. And finance has a major role in allocating resources in the economy. Traditional finance directs saving towards the most profitable project without taking into account the environmental aspect of the investment made. Green finance, in other words, finances projects that do not harm the environment or allow the development of a sustainable economy. So include all financial operations that contribute to promoting energy transition and the fight against global warming. It's a big trend at the moment with a big financing in order to prepare this ecological transition, clearly.
So can you give me some examples of what is green finance, or how does it work?
Green finance is to increase the level of financial flow from banking, microcredit, insurance, and investment from public, private, or not-profit sector to sustainable development. Clearly, you have some company, in particular in energy sector. They have a big impact on their business, in particular their business model, because, for example, when you look British Petroleum or Total Energies, a big oil and gas producer, they make a big investment in green finance in order to change the business model. And unfortunately for them, this kind of company produce a lot of benefits with a big dividend, but the performance of the stock are below tech company. It's a big paradox because now whole portfolio manager in the world make an arbitrage. They sell this profitable company because it's a risk at the moment for a big tech, for example. But this company still produce big benefits. It's very strange.
When you say big benefits, what do you mean?
It means a billion. When you look, for example, at the moment, this is the season of results for 2021, and British Petroleum, Shell, Total Energies make publish billions of benefits. When you look the performance of the stocks, it's just ridiculous in comparison of publication of the results.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. Yes, yeah. So the profits have been record profits or huge profits in the last reportings. Yet the performance of the stock is flat or not what you would expect based on the profits.
Exactly,
is that what you're saying?
Exactly, because for the same kind of result, if you are a tech company,
Right.
a trendy sector, it will be skyrocketing. It's not the case. This sector also has a risk at the moment. Despite the profitability. This is the reason why they try to move quickly to change the business model, to avoid carbon business, to invest in renewable energy, for example.
Are all of them doing that or just some of them making that move?
A whole of them. Because, with the different COP, the last one is COP26 in Scotland, I think so.
Yes.
At the end of last year. It's a big meeting, it's kind of Davos of global warming, and all the company states meet in order to put in place the new rules. This particular sector has been concerned about that. They try to negotiate flexible norms in order for them to have the time to change. Because as you know, the world is in transition, technological transition, ecological transition, finance transition. We change the model. This industry is a fat industry. They are not agile like a big tech company, They cannot change all the business, educate a talent in order to transform the business. It's a big challenge for them, clearly.
When you talked about the stock performance earlier, do you think some of that's being driven by a lot of these divestment campaigns? A lot of these big organizations are taking their money out of these fossil fuel stocks?
Exactly, because today we have some rules for a portfolio manager to invest in clean business. It's a big pressure of institutional investors to invest on clean business. Clean business means doesn't invest the money in energy, gaming, adult industry, some stuff like this. Even this kind of business are profitable, but now big investor doesn't want to put the money at work on this kind of business. It's a kind of paradox. In this particular industry, they know they have to change, but they need to have a time. But finance people, investor, don't give the time, from my opinion, to change energy industry, for example.
Why is sustainability important for finance? Obviously, we're always, when you're in finance, you're chasing profit and the most profitable industry. So we know from a survival point of view why sustainability is important, but why is it important in finance?
Clearly, sustainable finance is important for at least two reasons. First, good practice has shifted to where it always should have been, valuing all forms of capital. Every business on the planet Earth, directly or indirectly, relied upon biodiversity and natural ecosystem. Sustainable finance is defined as an investment decision take into account the environmental, social governance factor and economic activity project. Environmental factors include mitigation of the climate crisis or use of sustainable resources. Social factors include, of course, human and animals, as well as consumer protection and diverse hiring practice. Governance factors refer to the management, employee relation, and compensation practice of both public and private organizations. As today, clients do understand that the level that the talent pool is very thin, particularly in finding candidates with a proven track record and relevant ESG experience in both private and public sector. We have a good challenge to educate people. When I said educate, I mean from citizenship point of view, from consumer point of view, and from investor point of view. And this is a reason why finance has a big role to play. As you can see, sustainable finance jobs is on the rise at the moment, because now we request to finance, to banker people to sharpen their skills about this important subject. They request a lot of financing, and now they have to push the funding and the huge amount of money to finance this transition, as I mentioned. Investing in businesses and projects with sustainable ESG practice is already on the rise, as is the demand for finance professionals with expertise in this niche, yet rapidly growing field. You can see on Bloomberg, on CNBC, every time they have a special interview about this particular subject. And we can see a lot of report, in particular from United Nations, make the urgent case for integrating ESG among other factors into investment decision for fast, actionable impact on the environment. This is, for me, the main reason why is sustainability important in finance. Because we need a lot of money. If I can share some figures, green finance in particular is financing by green bond. Why we choose bond? Because this is for the long term. We need a huge amount, and the more simple it's to issue a bond. And as today, we need 2.5 trillion of US dollar until 2030. It's huge. And the only market can funding that is clearly the bond market. This is the reason now you see a lot of issuing of green bond finance. The long-time investor has been concerned about that. This is the reason why you have a tax optimization in some country to accelerate the saving on this kind of investment for people and for institutional to reallocate investment on this trend, because you have tech, green finance, health with a life science. For portfolio manager, from finance perspective, it's a very challenging period, because these people, they have to invest now in this niche. They have to sharpen their skills on that, because it's new, and they have to analyze, make a due diligence, serious due diligence, to avoid any risk capital, clearly.
So probably people are listening to this conversation right now and they're thinking, okay, I like to deploy some of my capital in a more ESG friendly way. So we mentioned green bonds. So what are some other examples of sustainable financial products? Like how can a regular retail investor make sure that their money is being deployed in an ESG friendly way?
You have at the moment ESG mutual funds, because now it's like a buzz and trend. You have all asset management company, or in fact this is some equity shares analyzed and selected to be on this kind of funds. And one of the big problem, it was Wirecard. Wirecard, this tech company in Germany, Wirecard was listed to DAX 30. Now this is DAX 40, the German equity index. It was funny, but not funny for the investor, because Wirecard was most in all ESG index, and it was a tech company. We see a lot of red flag in different newspaper, since 2016. Finally, we see the bankruptcy of the company with the problem of accounting, but Wirecard was on the most ESG index. So it's a kind of red flags who and how they make the due diligence.
Right. So I just like to move the conversation a little bit to technology. Now, I know I've seen you actually in TV interviews talking about super apps.
In fact, it was just wonderful from customer experience. When you put at the place of customer, in one app, you have access to all you need. It's wonderful because you more or less you get the power and the efficiency via your smartphone, and this phenomena comes from Asia, in particular China. Now it seems to come in Europe.
So how do you see these enabling green finance?
Challenging question, RT. To be honest, I didn't see anything at the moment.
Well, I can tell you, at Ant Group, we've got Ant Forest. It's a built-in application, and basically it incentivizes users to do green things like walk instead of driving a car, to accumulate these green points, and then the green points are used to plant trees in the desert areas of China.
To be honest, I didn't see a serious project like this. I see a lot of small action. They have difficulty to spread out on that. But I think a big player like you, again, has to drive the ecosystem to show some application. And I'm pretty sure it will help small initiative to growing, clearly. Because a company like you are so powerful to make the right thing, to attract also a community, a big community, to educate also this population and this community.
Yeah, I agree. So do you see any role for blockchain in green finance? Because, we hear a lot about blockchain. Do you see a growing interest in utilizing blockchain for green finance?
Yeah. It's a useful technology to check different information, in particular to know who makes the business. For example, for due diligence,
yes.
Who checks the information, the identity of the people,
right.
Who makes, and to have a legal history in order all the actors and the player could check and validate the data.
Right.
It was the right data, is not a scam and so on, because of course, when you see a lot of amount of money, they attract some bad people on that, and we see with some example in the past. To be honest, we didn't see for the moment a mainstream project on the blockchain. Apparently, what I expect, this is a live blockchain project for 2030.
Okay.
With different bank, and the subject now is this is a private blockchain or public blockchain, and this is a big subject because banks are not very secure. They want to create some of them they create a private blockchain, but at the end of the day, this is not the spirit of blockchain. And the aficionados, the big fan of blockchain, want a public blockchain in order for everybody to check. I think it will be a challenge also for regulator to put that in place. And again, for example, for the issuing of green bond, some test has been made with the big banks in Europe. Apparently, it was successful between Société Générale, HSBC, Lloyds, and Barclays, and others. It's a first point, and after you can integrate some other player when the setup will be finished and the rules implemented. And clearly, yes, I see a blockchain as a leverage for green finance.
And since we're on the topic, they're kind of related. What about cryptocurrencies and NFTs? Are the criticism has been that they're energy intensive and they're not green. What is your view?
For every technology, in each country, you have to look what is the breakdown from clean energy, from traditional energy, and so on. And after, you do what you can, because at the end, for in particular for Bitcoin with the mining, you use what the energy available in your country, in the space you live. If you have the chance to live in Scandinavian with hydroelectricity more or less everywhere, with wind and so on, okay, your mining of crypto is more clean. But I think the community is aware of that.
Okay.
And it's a question of time to have more or less to tend to a clean energy at 17, 18 or 90%.
Okay.
For example, at the moment in France, we have a subject because we have a nuclear power plant stop to review. We have more or less 10, and we have to buy energy from Germany, but we know it's not a clean energy. It's energy from coal power plant.
Oh.
So if you mine in France, crypto, in particular Bitcoin, you're mining with a part of energy is not clean, to be honest.
Right.
And now this is the reason why we have to deploy clean energy with wind, hydroelectricity, solar energy, and so on to balance a little bit.
So basically, it's how you produce the energy to mine the Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency is what matters. Nothing else, really.
Yeah. And again, it depends of your country, because when you look Eastern country, Kazakhstan, and so on, they have cheap energy, but they are from fossil.
Right.
And again, Scandinavian, they have more clean energy than Eastern Europe countries on that.
Right. It kind of reminds me of, I know they moved a aluminum smelter to Iceland because, smelting aluminum is really carbon intensive, and they moved it to Iceland, this huge smelter, because they use geothermal energy, so it's carbon neutral or something like that. So I guess I would imagine it's the same thing with cryptocurrency. You move the mining to these sources of clean energy like geothermal or hydropower or wind, or like what you're saying.
Yeah, and they push the crypto fans to create some crypto with less energivore.
Okay.
It's also a good thing to challenge the community about this this issue.
So proving the technology, on doing
push the technology on the right side, And again, I think it's a question of time before to balance the things. The community is aware of that, and a lot of them act on the right direction.
So are there any potential uses of cryptocurrency or NFTs in green finance?
The application of NFT is large.
Okay.
Yes, NFT can use to participate at to finance a project and so on. After, it depends of the project. Before the COVID-19, a project of cryptocurrency about global warming to finance only a green project, to set up a community around that, and this cryptocurrency will be used only on green project. This is the only project I see. For the moment, when you talk about financing with crypto, you have a first barrier, is the regulator.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the first barrier before to speak about crypto with application to green finance, because it's a hot subject for government and regulator with crypto and finance at the moment. If you put aside for the moment the green, and the subject is the integration of crypto on payment, on finance economy. This is a hot topic. Mm-hmm. Maybe we will see again some project on that. I didn't see a solid project, to be honest, as today, because I think we have to resolve and to finalize the regulation for the crypto before any other application to finance.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So before I let you go, I wanted to ask you something I've been thinking about, and that is right now there's an energy crisis in Europe. I live in the UK, and I hear people in the news saying, well, it's because of all these green initiatives, this carbon neutrality we're trying to strive for in the UK, that we've closed all these coal power plants, and now we have to rely on gas, and gas has become very expensive. It's 5 times the price it was, last year, something like that. And they're blaming it on the push to carbon neutrality in the UK. And I want to know what your view was on this.
I see European Union decided to put nuclear in clean energy group. It's clear we need to use traditional energy with coal and gas. We cannot change the system like this. As mentioned before, we are in transition. And if we go too quickly, we don't get the involvement of the population. And now we have the pressure, as you mentioned, of price of skyrocketing. Mm-hmm. So it means we have to sit together and to find a quick action called quick win plan to put all in place. And I come back to my point before. Education, yes. Involve enterprise, involve citizenship in order to decide, and everybody are aware, agree, and after execution of the plan. And we have to consume energy less, better. We have to push research and development in order to go in this way. We have some smart solution, but we have to be together, or we will fail together. From my opinion, the pressure of commodities market is a good thing in order to push government, key leader to action, but action in agile mode, if possible, in smart way. And we have the chance now to have a big trend of technology, and I think technology can help us with smart people, smart engineer, and smart tech people, clearly. Right. I'm very confident on that.
Wow. Well, thank you, Xavier. Your positivity and your optimism really makes me feel good. I'm sure the listeners feel the same way. And it's been an honor to talk to you. And I could have gone on for another couple of hours talking to you. It was fascinating. Thank you so much.
Thank you, RT, and thank you to Ant for the invitation. And yes, of course, maybe in a few months we will have another subject to speak in order to share insights and then to discuss.
Fabulous. You're always welcome back. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
That was Xavier Gomez, founder and chief operating officer at Invio, and managing director and deputy editor-in-chief of Invio Insights. That's it for this episode of Antcast. To make sure not to miss a single episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm RT Warfield, coming to you from London. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.